Hello, my name is Samuel Brown, and I'm Project Management Instructor with Global Knowledge. And I'm going to be talking to you this afternoon about the 6 laws of persuasion. This is a concept that has been widely used and widely explored within marketing and sales, but is one which has a lot of applicability to project management, particularly since as project managers we should be spending 90% of our time communicating. It's important that we communicate effectively and that the negotiations that we're doing are also effective negotiations. The 6 laws we'll be discussing have been defined by Robert Cialdini, and he defined them in a book he wrote several years ago called Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. The 6 laws he's defined include the law of reciprocity, the law of commitment or consistency, the law of liking, the law of scarcity, the law of authority, and the law of social proof. And we're going to walk through each one of these laws one at a time. The law of reciprocity is perhaps the easiest and most accessible of our laws. It's the law that basically suggests that persuading someone to your point of view is enhanced by the degree to which you can create a sense of obligation within them. I'm sure everyone probably has received, I know in the past week I've gotten 3 different fundraising envelopes in the mail, each of which contained the little sticky return addresses with my name already on them. And it says, if you find these useful, please consider making a donation and returning to us. Obviously, the intent is for me to feel like, geez, this is really nice. I can use these return addresses, and so I will send them some money. The law of reciprocity invites repayment to us in kind. It essentially plays off of the golden rule. If I do for you, then you should do for me. And so as we communicate within our projects, we want to look for ways that we can create this sense of reciprocity. How can we do something for the benefit of the stakeholder unsolicited so that when we need something from that stakeholder, we're more likely to be able to get it and to get it with more effective or less onerous negotiation. The law of commitment or consistency is the second of the laws we're going to look at. And this is the law that says people are more likely to be persuaded if they see consistency in the way that you talk and behave and the positions that you take. So if we are able to be consistent in the way that we address our stakeholders, if we give them consistent messages, if we behave in accordance with those messages we have been giving to them, for example, we ask them over and over to get things back to us when we need them, but if we're not making our own deadlines, then that's going to be a very difficult argument to make persuasively. So we need to be consistent in our own behavior in order to create consistency, which then reinforces our ability to persuade. The other thing that does play into this issue of consistency or commitment is the old trick in sales of the repetitive close. So if we can, as we work with our stakeholders, get them into the habit of agreeing with us or agreeing with a position and get them to do that repetitively, then the next agreement will be easier to reach. You've seen it when you bought a car, for example, and the car salesman asks you, do you like the car? Yes, I like the car. Do you like the fact that it's got this gas mileage? Yes, I like that. Do you like the economy? Do you like the et cetera, et cetera? And each time you're saying yes, and ultimately they get down to, so will you sign this contract? And the probability is much higher now that you'll also say yes to that because you're in the habit of saying yes to their questions. The law of liking is the law that says to the extent that we can create associations between the position that we've taken or what we want and others who are seen as credible, then we can be more persuasive. So if it's essentially, think of the law of liking as the law of peer pressure. If I've got lots of folks in support of my position, if I've got lots of folks who agree with me, then it becomes more difficult for whoever I'm negotiating with to say no or to disagree, because the weight of the majority is in my favor. This can also be thought of as asking for favor or killing them with kindness, if you will. The fourth law is the law of scarcity. And this is essentially where the idea of buyer's remorse comes from. This is also why you constantly see those television commercials from Ronco or whoever who say, this is only available to the next 15 callers. Well, that creates the sense of urgency to respond. Of course, it's not the next 15 callers because the commercial plays 15 times a night. It plays in 30 markets across the country, and it's playing on television. And they're not cutting the phones off after the first 15 people call. So it's simply used to motivate response, to motivate us to move more quickly, to intensify our sense of anxiety or our concern that we may miss out on something that we really care about and something that we really want. The law of authority is one that we tend to use fairly frequently as project managers, and this is the law that says if the experts say so, then it must be so. So we use the law of authority to support, again, our positions, but to support it based on accepted wisdom. Within our projects, we tend to do that when we're estimating. We get the people who know how to do the work together, and we try to estimate with them. So we define the work to them. We help to explain to them what we're really trying to accomplish, what our results should be, and we ask them to provide us with estimates. We often do that across numerous experts, multiple folks who know how to do it, which then allows us to create an average estimate through some multi-point estimating technique like PERT, and that again strengthens the estimate that we are providing because it represents the collective wisdom of numerous experts. The other thing that happens out of the law of authority, which is worth noting here, is as we use the law of authority, it tends to reinforce and expand, in most cases, our own position of expertise, or at least the perception of our expertise by those other stakeholders that we're engaged with. The last of our laws is the law of social proof. The law of social proof, again, depends upon peer pressure. It depends upon our understanding of accepted social norms within the culture, particularly the business culture or corporate culture that we're working, and then aligning our position, aligning what we're trying to accomplish, aligning the goals that we are trying to achieve with those social norms in order to motivate folks to get on board. If everybody else is on board, why aren't you? Is the pressure that the law of social proof creates for us. Now, these 6 laws of persuasion work together as we find ways to integrate them into our negotiation. And when combined with some of the common and well-known persuasion strategies, gives us real strength when we begin to negotiate with our stakeholders. The top 5 persuasion strategies that we typically use or think of include sharing facts, which depends heavily on the law of authority and the law of social proof. Offering solutions, wherein we frame options for folks and present them, which then helps to engage the law of reciprocity. The sharing of new ideas, again, depending upon the law of reciprocity, also may enable us to use the law of authority in the process. The fourth of our techniques would be telling a story, which comes right out of the law of liking and the law of social proof. And then finally, changing perceptions. How can I get you to look at things from a totally different point of view? Take you out of the box that you're used to working within, take you out of your comfort zone in terms of normal perception, and get you to see things differently. And that really is a persuasion strategy that engages virtually all 6 of our laws of persuasion.